Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Cheat Code Jitsu. Jeff here again. Still working on our lockdown series. We were working the electric chair last time. Today we're going to work what's known as stoner control, which is a counter to his counter on my electric chair. So stoner control can end up in a couple of different places. I can get a sweep and a guard pass out of it in one direction, or I can get a submission, which is the vaporizer, in the other direction. Those are the two main paths that we take off the stoner control, but it's an excellent option when you got somebody posting back really hard on your electric chair, and you can transition to this and still make something work even if you can't get the electric chair. So stay tuned. So down here in our lockdown position, I'm going for my electric chair just like last time. I gotten up to my side, I go underneath, get my control, mini shrimp through, and ideally I want to come up to my elbow so I can get my submission working. But if I get locked down here and I've got a guy like Mike who's kind of posting back hard on me, and I can't really get through that last final position. But I've gotten this far and I can't quite get the knee up on my shoulder. That's where stoner control comes in. So in order to transition to stoner control, notice my lockdown is still in place. It's going to stay in place for a while. This hand, the down hand, is going to pummel in underneath of Mike's leg. I'm going to pummel underneath and then scoop my own head through. And then come up, and I've got to sit on this leg right here. Put weight down on it. If I don't, Mike just pops his leg back out and comes right back around, and then now I'm in all kinds of trouble. But ideally I want to sit down on top of it. This position right here, this is stoner control. Where we go from here in large respect is going to be dependent on what Mike does. If I get into stoner control and Mike doesn't really do much of anything, then I've got a relatively easy sweep from here. All I've got to do is just keep pressure on this leg, come up, and then I'm just going to push into it, and then I take top position. Usually I'll come up with double underhooks. You'll notice my lockdown is still in place. If you look at the position that we're in, once I get to stoner control, this is basically a leg drag, is where I'm at, except I also have a lockdown in place on the legs. Once I get here, his options for movement are fairly limited, and if I'm looking to just take the sweep and the guard pass, that's pretty easy. Unhook the lockdown, step through, and then I come on up into side control. The other option that he can do is, some guys when they get to this position, they're going to start pushing back in and they're going to try to get on top. So what I'm going to do here is, when I feel him coming up on top of me, my lockdown is still in place. I'm going to extend it out, and I'm going to shoot both of my arms underneath of his, and then shoot him back over top of my head really high. And then I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to take him that way. So Mike comes back on top, and as he is coming back up, extend, roll over, and then I come up on top, right back in that top side stoner control position. And then we just break the lockdown, step through, and I get my sweep along with my guard pass. So that's basically the sweep and guard pass path. My other way that I want to go is the submission path, which typically leads to the vaporizer. I talked in our last video, our electric chair video, about the second match between Eddie Bravo and Hoyler Gracie. This is exactly what Eddie did to Hoyler. It's sort of the final sequence. He got the electric chair, was able to get on top, got the topside stoner control, and then from there he was able to hit the vaporizer. I also commented during that video that the lockdown, one of the things it does when you kind of extend out on it, you get a little bit of torque on the guy's knee. Essentially, the vaporizer is a leg lock that takes the knee torquing action of the lockdown and then magnifies it by a factor of 10. And that's how we get the tap. So let me show you how the vaporizer works. I actually can get the vaporizer from here by underhooking this and pulling it up. Essentially, the vaporizer is, I'm going to lock the foot right here at the toes. I take my Vulcan grip, just like we did on the old school 2 and 2, lock it up, and now what I'm doing is I'm extending my shin into his knee and then pulling back on the toes. That's how I get the submission in. I don't get this very often from this particular position, just because laying back like this when I'm not fully in position yet, I sometimes have difficulty pulling that leg up. The other way that you can get it, there's two other ways that you can get it. The first is the way that Eddie did it to Hoyler, which was he got topside stoner control. And then from here, we're gonna do a roll. So the way the roll happens is you kind of need to bait this a little bit. If you just try to take it cold, it's not usually gonna work. The guy's gonna extend his leg out and you won't get anything. So do like Eddie did to Hoyler, stay up here, bait, make him think I'm really committed to some kind of a clinch and I want a guard pass. So that he starts pushing back. When he starts pushing back and pushing me away from him, that's where I roll. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my far arm, I'm gonna do a shoulder roll through, and I'm trying to cut this as close to his hips as I possibly can. I don't wanna go out wide, because I'm not gonna get it, and I don't wanna go up here. I'm trying to roll directly back towards the hips. So I get here, I come back, and I'm gonna shoot this hand through, and as this hand goes through, this other hand's gonna come back and try to catch his foot, as my lockdown holds us tight to keep his knee bent. So I roll, and I catch the foot. Now, from here to finish the vaporizer, normally a figure 4 will get it done. Figure 4, hook the toes, reinforce with the other hand, and now I'm just pulling down and extending out. It is a figure 4 toe hold, a heel hook, a calf crank, and a knee compression all at the same time. It's a very devastating lock. And because it's driving sideways into the knee, it really kind of torques all that in a very unusual way. This is where Eddie had Hoyler at the end of their second match, was this position right here. And he was cranking down on it. What Eddie wanted to do, and what he wasn't able to do because Hoyler was able to get a grip on his gi pants, is he wanted to release, and this is how you make it really nasty. So if this doesn't finish, you release and you stomp. So once this foot stomps in, it provides that extra pressure to push into the knee, stomp, toes in, and then crank and finish the vaporizer that way. The one other way to get into this is similar to the first way that we got into it. So back to lockdown, do my electric chair, he stops, I swim through, lock tight, come up to topside stoner control. I'm actually going to sit back this way, so kind of the same position that we were in, but the fact that I came up top means I can extend that out a little bit more. I get a little bit more torque behind it, and then I can sit back and I can grab. And now I get the exact same thing from this position, pull back, torque the knee, and finish the vaporizer. It's a little bit less flashy than the roll, but as long as you get to the vaporizer, it's a really nasty submission. So if I'm able to get to stoner control, I'm usually looking to hit that roll and get to the vaporizer if I possibly can. But the guard pass works extremely well because, as anybody knows who does leg drag passes, once you get into that leg drag position period, it's kind of difficult for the guy on bottom to stop, especially once you got the lockdown in place on the free leg. There's not really a whole lot that he can do. Guard pass is pretty much guaranteed at that point. So if you're having trouble making the electric chair work, you've always got the option to swim underneath and go to stoner control. Good pass, devastating submission, lots of good stuff there. So give that a try if you're not doing it already. Drop a comment down below if you got another entry you'd like to use for that. Make sure as well, if you like the video, got something good out of it, hit the like button. It really helps us out a lot. Also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. You get a notification every time we upload a new video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.